Donald Trump's morning is off to an absolutely terrible start. He's been hit with a barrage of brutal polling. He was humiliated last night on 60 Minutes after he pulled out of his interview. Vice President Harris did a fantastic job. We'll get to that in a little bit. And Republican governors and other state officials are speaking out and rebuking Donald Trump for his lies regarding the federal government's recovery efforts. I'm going to get into all that and more. My name is Brett Meiselas here with the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to hit subscribe. We are on our way to 3.5 million subscribers. Okay, let's check in with this new Wasson Center poll of Virginia likely voters. In this poll, they have Vice President Harris leading Donald Trump 52% to 41%. That is a margin of plus 11 for Vice President Kamala Harris. Meanwhile, Democratic Senate incumbent candidate Tim Kaine leads the Trump-backed hung cow 55% to 35%. That is a 20-point swing for Tim Kaine right there. And if these results bear out, it will be the largest margin of victory for Democrats in modern history. These are stunning results out of Virginia, absolutely terrible polls for Republicans. Let's move over to Michigan, when Detroit News has a new poll out now that shows Vice President Kamala Harris up 47% to Trump's 44%. So you know the trend line, Trump was up 45% to 44% back in August. Once again, we are seeing this momentum shift towards Vice President Kamala Harris. And we're seeing that on the issues as well. In the questions of who is better suited to handle the economy, Vice President Harris leads 47% to Trump's 45%, according to the new research company poll. And we are seeing this across a variety of issues in the Redfield and Wilton poll. We are seeing this on abortion, on the economy, on inflation, and in healthcare, to name a few. And then we look at the national polls, only the A and B rated ones in the past seven days. We see Kamala Harris up 3 in Data for Progress, up 2 in the NPR PBS News Marist poll, up 1.6 in Emerson, up 5 in SPNR, up 4 in Ipsos, and up 3 in The Economist and YouGov, with a 4-week flat average of Kamala Harris being up 3.3. But we also have some hard data, not just polling, right? We have Pennsylvania mail and absentee ballots coming in, people actually voting. We can't tell what their votes are, but we can tell what their voter registration is. And so far, we have 73.3% of the return mail and absentee ballots from Democrats, just 19% from Republicans, 7.7% from others. That is showing a massive gap right there between ballots returned by Democrats and Republicans. We're starting to see a blue firewall build in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Meanwhile, CNN is reporting that Kamala Harris looks like she is on track to put up the best numbers ever for a Democratic presidential nominee among voters with a college degree. Let's see what they had to say.
White college grads have been this group that have been moving further and further to the left. All right, this is the Democratic margin among white college grads. Look, Hillary Clinton won him by 5 points. Then Joe Biden won him by 9. Look at this margin that Kamala Harris is pulling up in the polls right now among white college grads. It's an 18-point margin, double the margin that Joe Biden had just 4 years ago. I went back through the record books. This would be the largest win for a Democratic presidential candidate among white college grads in recorded history. That is all the way back since the early 1950s. You could probably go back even further. But the bottom line is that Kamala Harris amongst this group is doing ridiculously well. And it's one of the main reasons that she has been able to counter Donald Trump's rising support among voters without a college degree. It's because she's doing very well among white voters with a college degree.
What about all voters, not just white voters?
All right. So we looked at white voters with a college degree. How about all voters with a college degree? It's basically the same story. It's historically high support for a Democratic candidate. You see right now, Kamala Harris leads in the polls by 21 points. That's 3 points higher than Joe Biden did 4 years ago. At 6 points higher than Hillary Clinton did 8 years ago. The bottom line is this, Mr. Berman. The electorate is becoming more polarized along education, and Democrats, at least among those with a college degree, are the beneficiaries of it. And Kamala Harris is doing historically well for a Democrat among voters with a college degree.
Better than ever among voters with a college degree. How many voters do have a college degree?
Right. So this is the second part, the key nugget here, an increasing share of the electorate. You know, you go back 44 years ago, just 21% of the electorate had a college degree. You go back 24 years ago, 31%. You go back 4 years ago, you're up to 40%. This year, it looks like a historically high proportion of the electorate, 41%, will have a college degree. You know who those voters are. They're in the suburbs of places like Philadelphia, of Detroit. You go, obviously, to Madison, Wisconsin, right? A rising tide, more and more voters with a college degree. It's what flipped the great state of, part of what flipped the great state of Georgia, right? Those voters with a college degree in the suburbs of Atlanta. This is a big reason Kamala Harris is still in the race right now, because even though she is losing a little bit of support among voters without a college degree, she's gaining rapidly among those with a college degree, specifically white voters with a college degree. Either way you look at it, historically high support at this particular moment.
Put it in one sentence, more voters than ever with a college degree. She's doing better than ever with voters with a college degree.
That's exactly right, Mr. Berman. That is the great thing we're going to be watching down the stretch of this campaign. Does Donald Trump, the support that he's pulling among working class, counteract the support that Kamala Harris is gaining among those with a college degree? That's the battle going down the stretch. At this point, we're not sure which side's going to come out on top.
Major structural shifts.
You got it,
with
my
an
friend.
F in there, just to be clear. Marianne, thank you.
So with all this news, what is Donald Trump doing? He is resorting to his same old lying and fear-mongering. He's got one script and he is sticking to it. This is what he's writing on his social media platform. He writes, in all caps, the response to the hurricane by lying Kamala Harris is now rated the worst storm response in history. North Carolina, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama, and others will respond by voting for Trump. We will make America great again. Notice how he's so transparent that he's making the stuff up for votes by bringing voting into this instead of just being concerned for the people on the ground. Donald Trump is obviously lying here, and even the Republican officials are speaking out and they are praising the federal government's response to Hurricane Helene. Here's a montage that MSNBC put together. This is mostly Republican top officials praising the recovery efforts. Let's check this out.
As of today, what has been the ongoing kind of federal assistance for South Carolina?
It's been superb. We're getting assistance, and we're asking for everything we need.
They're doing a great job. There can always work harder. There's always kinks in the slinky. We're working them out behind the scenes.
And you see this rush of local officials, FEMA, from the federal to the state to the local emergency management agencies, local county mayors with tears in their eyes out there serving their people.
We're grateful for the quick actions and close communications that we have had with the president and with the FEMA team.
We have been, Sean, I have to say, working well with FEMA. They, in fact, were moving very quickly over the last few days for us.
So to President Biden, thank you for coming. Thank you for paying attention to our needs. I think we've had good working relationship between the federal government.
Now let's look at this tale of two headlines. Let's look at the PBS headline from October 2nd, 2024. Vice President Kamala Harris announces 100% reimbursement of local Helene response costs during remarks in Augusta, Georgia. This is from NBC News on April 23rd, 2021. New probe confirms Trump officials blocked Puerto Rico from receiving aid. Donald Trump blocked a lot of places from receiving aid who didn't vote for him. If their votes did not matter to him, then he would refuse to help. This even happened in North Carolina, of course, the site of the current storm. But let's look back to Hurricane Matthew in 2017, when Donald Trump blocked 99% of the relief funding requested by the state. Absolutely despicable. And let's remember that Project 2025 seeks to eliminate a lot of this aid for families and small businesses recovering from severe storms like Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. Absolutely inexcusable stuff, folks. Former governor of Ohio, Governor Kasich, a Republican, was taking the airwaves, and he himself thinks it's maddening that Donald Trump is using this hurricane for political purposes and lying about it when people need help. Listen to what Governor Kasich has to say.
It's just so it's beyond disappointing. It's maddening to see that a person running for president would try to use something like this, where there's been such tremendous hardship, loss of life, to try to create a fable here. I mean, look, anytime you have something like this, the officials in charge are always going to say they wish things had been delivered faster. That's always going to happen. But to say somehow that money that was designed to go to hurricane relief has been spent on immigrants, I mean, it's just dead wrong. But he continues to say it. And, you know, there's this thing now, as you know, Andrea, about spinning conspiracy theories. And, People on the internet like to think, oh, well, the government, just doesn't care. They're doing their own thing. And this kind of gins up some of his base. But by and large, I think the problem he's going to have as we get to the election day is that there's going to be a chunk of Republicans who will not vote for him under any set of circumstance. And I think that number is probably 15% in that category. She will not have that problem. I mean, she'll be over 90 in terms of the Democrats that turn out and vote. But every time he does this, he puts himself farther and farther behind. And frankly, the ramification should be that. As you know, I've been opposed to him for 6 years since he came on the scene, and it's just it's terrible.
The former chair of the Florida Republican Party is also speaking out as a result of Donald Trump's lies about the storm, and he says that he is enthusiastically voting for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Watch this.
Actually voting for the Harris-Walz and maybe doing it with some enthusiasm is a fairly recent development. I'll give you two recent examples, both of which I'm very familiar with. One is the natural disasters. That's always been a bipartisan issue. Both Democrats and Republicans have worked together to assist the people in harm's way. Well, the White House asked Congress to pass a supplemental bill to really help people with these disasters because we may be running out of cash. All of a sudden, the trolling, the Trump operatives and everybody else started saying, well, they're giving that money to illegal immigrants. Not true. There are various parts of FEMA that are funded separately, and natural disasters is one of them. Well, when Andrew hit Florida, which has been one of many, I worked hand in hand with the George H.W. Bush administration and the Democrat Governor Lawton Chiles. It was always a bipartisan spirit. Everybody wanted to help those in harm's way. Well, you take it now, the Trump operatives are already lying about FEMA not having resources, about FEMA not going over. When the White House asked the Congress to meet for a supplemental bill, to pass a supplemental bill for FEMA, they said, call us after November 5th. That's something that just not have a precedent. The second one was with immigration. It was so hard to get a bipartisan bill put together in order to stop the intrusions at the border. But oh no, Trump had to tell the Republicans not to pass it because it was not in his best interest.
Coming off Hurricane Helene, we are now dealing with Hurricane Milton in the state of Florida. If you are in a disaster zone, I am urging you to evacuate, listen to local orders, and do what they tell you to do. Do not buy into lies and disinformation. Listen to the officials. President Biden approved an emergency declaration from the state of Florida and ordered federal assistance to supplement response efforts that may arise due to the emergency conditions resulting from the hurricane. Meanwhile, this is what Donald Trump had to say about Category 5 storms like Hurricane Milton back in 2019. He said he's never even heard of a Category 5 hurricane. Watch this.
I'm not sure that I've ever even heard of a Category 5. I knew it existed, and I've seen some Category 4s. You don't even see them that much, but a Category 5 is something that I don't know that I've ever even heard the term, other than I know it's there.
It should be noted that there were at least 4 Category 5 hurricanes that had taken place prior to Donald Trump making that statement during his presidency. Meanwhile, MAGA is ramping up their conspiracy theories. It's getting even weirder than you even knew it could get. Their new conspiracy theory, lie, whatever you want to call it, is that these hurricanes, which are happening during peak hurricane season, are being created by President Biden, Vice President Harris, and the deep state to prevent Trump voters from voting. I know it sounds crazy. This is literally what they're pushing. You could see this guy, Grant Cardone, speaking about his conspiracy theories here, and you've probably already seen Marjorie Taylor Greene talking about her conspiracy theories, that they control the weather, kind of an anti-Semitic dog whistle that she's putting out there as well. Just bizarre, deranged stuff. It's so sad that so many people's brains have been so broken by social media, by Donald Trump. It's just really tragic to see. I mean, no one's brain is more broken perhaps than Donald Trump, who just continued to post incessantly. He started posting these photos of Elon Musk, who appeared at his rally in Butler. This is the picture he posted of Elon Musk. I got a better picture I'm going to show you. This is a more more accurate representation of Elon. This is a photo while Elon Musk was jumping up and down at Donald Trump's rally. It was a very weird, just very bizarre stuff, everybody. Elon Musk is joining with Donald Trump in fear-mongering. Elon Musk writing, "It would be the end of America if Vice President Kamala Harris wins." Donald Trump is reposting that. Just despicable rhetoric, honestly. Just absolutely gross. Meanwhile, Donald Trump has decided to hold a rally in Coachella, California, a state he has no chance of winning. He's holding this event October 12th, 2024. And what Fred Wellman, who hosts On Democracy here at the MeidasTouch Network, said is, so 24 days before election, Donald Trump is holding a rally in Coachella, California, in the middle of a desert, in a state he's going to lose, in a congressional district that's like D+20, on the only fourth Saturday left, where it was 109 degrees today. Don't underestimate the tactical genius Alasavita and Wiles. Of course, he's being sarcastic there about Donald Trump's campaign managers. Donald Trump was on Fox yesterday with Laura Ingraham, and I don't know if pigs are flying or what, but even Laura Ingraham was correcting the record when Donald Trump was spewing his lies. Trump was trying to spread this lie that the only thing that FEMA is offering people in the disaster zones is $750. That is not true at all. Watch Ingraham correct Trump.
And yet they're offering people $750
for immediate needs.
For the worst, but for the worst hurricane that anybody's seen. But she shouldn't be there anyway. She should be, I would say, North Carolina is bad, is so bad. And
she was there today for 3 hours, I believe, Kamala Harris.
Ingraham tried to sort of guide Donald Trump through this next question, saying, a lot of people think that you're going to go after people if you win the election. They think you're going to weaponize the government. You're not going to do that, right? Watch what Donald Trump had to say about that.
How will you restore faith in our justice system? A lot of people will say, well, he's just going to do to them what they did to him and get back at them. And
a lot of people say that's what should happen.
Well,
you want to know the truth.
Right. Well, but I think
Donald Trump appeared at an event yesterday, 1 year after the horrific attack by Hamas in Israel. He could be seen here holding a photo of a hostage who was kidnapped and smiling, just extremely inappropriate. He's gotten a lot of backlash for this. He's also gotten a lot of backlash for asking the rabbi at this memorial service if he wants him to autograph the prayer book. Not making this up. Watch this.
Yeah, can I take that? Would you like me to sign this? I love that. Thank you.
Now let's talk about that 60 Minutes interview. As we've reported here on the MeidasTouch Network, Donald Trump decided sometime like last week that he was going to back out of this interview. He was afraid that he would be fact-checked. We reported that here, and 60 Minutes confirmed that fact with this absolutely brutal opening to the show where they explained why Donald Trump would not be participating. Watch this.
Then, a week ago, Trump backed out. The campaign offered shifting explanations. First, it complained that we would fact-check the interview. We fact-check every story. Later, Trump said he needed an apology for his interview in 2020. Trump claims correspondent Leslie Stahl said in that interview that Hunter Biden's controversial laptop came from Russia. She never said that. Trump has said his opponent doesn't do interviews because she can't handle them. He had previously declined another debate with Harris, so tonight may have been the largest audience for the candidates between now and Election Day.
During her 60 Minutes interview, Vice President Kamala Harris gave her thoughts on Donald Trump backing out of the interview. Take a watch.
If he is not going to give your viewers the ability to have a meaningful, thoughtful conversation, question and answer with you, then watch his rallies. You're going to hear conversations that are about himself and all of his personal grievances. And what you will not hear is anything about you, the listener. You will not hear about how he's going to try to bring the country together, find common ground. And Bill, that is why I believe in my soul and heart the American people are ready to turn the page.
I loved Vice President Kamala Harris's answer to this question.
You have accused Donald Trump of using racist tropes.
I'm glad you are pointing these comments out that he has made that have resulted in a response by most reasonable people to say it's just wrong. It's just wrong. I believe that the people of America want a leader who's not trying to divide us and demean. I believe that the American people recognize that the true measure of the strength of a leader is not based on who you beat down, it's based on who you lift up.
Governor Tim Walz was also on 60 Minutes, and he was asked about calling Republicans weird. I thought this was a perfect response.
Before you joined the ticket, you called Republicans weird. And that's sort of become a rallying cry for Democrats. Why do you think that label stuck?
I was really talking about the behaviors. Being obsessed with people's personal lives in their bedrooms and their reproductive rights, making up stories about folks legally here eating cats and dogs, they're dehumanizing. They go beyond weird because I said this, it becomes almost dangerous. Let's debate policy in a real way, and let's try and find an objective truth again.
Just for a contrast, J.D. Vance was in Georgia on the local news there, and he was asked if he supports Georgia's 6-week abortion ban. If you've been following the news, you know that Georgia's Supreme Court has re-implemented the abortion ban while appeals take place. Vance was asked about this, and he had yet another non-answer. Check this out.
Big issue here in Georgia and around the country is reproductive rights.
Sure.
Here in Georgia, commonly known as the heartbeat bill, it bans most abortions after about 6 weeks of pregnancy. It's under litigation right now. Recently, a Fulton County Superior Court judge struck down the law as unconstitutional. Do you support Georgia's heartbeat bill?
Well, look, I don't know the full details of Georgia's heartbeat bill or the litigation that's happened over it.
And then in one of the most powerful moments of this 60 Minutes interview with Vice President Kamala Harris was when they brought Liz Cheney on. And Liz Cheney spoke about why she is voting for Vice President Harris. This is a message that is going to reach so many voters, especially those in the middle, those who are kind of center-right, so to speak. I thought this was exceptionally powerful and is going to sway a lot of minds. Check this out.
4 years ago, if someone had told you that you would be campaigning with Liz Cheney, what would you have said to them?
That'd be great. That's really diplomatic.
Would you ever have thought that you'd be campaigning with Kamala Harris?
I hope that if you had said to me 4 years ago, our Constitution is going to be under threat and it's going to be crucial for the parties to come together and to support Vice President Harris because she'll defend the rule of law, I know I would have said that's exactly what I'll do.
I think you could see with all these clips and all these updates that Donald Trump seems like he's sort of spiraling out. I mean, the desperation is palpable in these tweets where he's making up all these lies. Meanwhile, Vice President Harris is staying focused. She's doing what you're supposed to be doing, and she's doing it at the right times. She's doing a lot of interviews now. She's meeting people face to face. The momentum is on her side, and we are seeing that reflected in these new polls as we approach Election Day. Hey, thank you so much for watching this. I appreciate you getting your updates from us here at the MeidasTouch Network. Remember to subscribe and help us get to 3.5 million subscribers. If you have a second, can you also add the MeidasTouch podcast on whatever audio podcast you use, Spotify, Apple, whatever it is, go and add us. And if you have a second, leave a 5-star review. Okay, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in a bit.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.